there are events that could have very well happened, but there are also legends that plague historians even to this day. Who is the elusive drunkard, Yebo? Why is he so powerful? Did he truly found the hole in the market? And why is he always swallowed by a fucking river? Is he a metaphor for the human condition, or something much more sinister? In Felvidek, you play as a drunken knight Pavel who sets himself on a quest to investigate a fire in an old castle. His boss assigns a monk named Maciej to accompany our hero so that he wouldn't accidentally stumble into a tavern. Before the two of them get to the castle, they may hear about random disappearances happening all around Felvidek. But that's about the premise, so let's our graphics. You'll get a mix of RPG Maker assets, full body portraits, and 3D rendered cutscenes that look like a fever dream of David Szymanski. On the other hand, I might have said that in the wrong order. For a short game, there's enough visuals to create a great atmosphere for any area, worthy of few playthroughs, and when you get most of the information through text, this is very welcome. And speaking of, the English dialogue is very medieval, but it pales in comparison to the Slovak version. It's mostly not that great of a difference, but meaning of some sentences has changed. For example, there's a situation where the main character is being annoyed by an angry crowd. In the English version, he tells them to be quiet, but in the Slovak version, he tells them to shut the fuck up. The environments vary too, and though the maps are just static images, it never feels like a problem, mainly because the art direction provides a very fitting vibe that's boosted even more by the music. Done by Marcel Gittes holy crap, the music can sound like trippy rock with electronic elements and some other stuff, like slide whistles and stuff that's falling apart. Alright, let's get to the mechanics. The combat is pretty classic RPG stuff. You play in a party that has your consumables, abilities and attacks. Each ability consumes a pool of resources that can be regenerated with items, but some opponents have the option to solely deplete that pool. So, if smacking someone with a shield in the face is not an option, you can also use items that insta-kill most enemies, like Frędzalica. I'm not really sure what to think of this, but from what I understand, it's sort of like if Gatogarix was tasked to add Greek fire to the magical potion of the Gauls because the Romans started to get too adventurous with their cohorts. It's a liquid that may give you blindness, but explodes when sped out. Anyways, what I wanted to say is that the combat is pretty simple, and you'll get the hang of it. So, what about the story? As I said, the game is short, about 5 hours, but what is there is worth each one. If you don't want to spoil the story, click on this timestamp to go into the summary. The story centers around Pavel and his hijinks in Felvidek. You might fight incomprehensible monsters 1 second and explain the power of a broke-back cabin to a broken heart the next one. A lot of quests are triggered by exploration, but the main story is there and it is something. One of the antagonists is on the surface, a great religious organization helping the youth and serving coffee. But on a deeper level, they are a cult worshipping a god named Zurvan. This Zurvan has an evil son named Dariman, a god of burning hatred who clawed his way through his father's womb to rule the world for 8,000 years. But was later dethroned by his brother and father, imprisoning him in eternal darkness, where he resides until the events of Felvidek. By progressing the story, you'll find out that the cult summoned his spirit to the real world to fight off an invading religious faction named Hussites who are baptizing or shooting anyone on sight. You might be thinking, wow, how did they use one of the most powerful demons to ever exist? Well, they turned him into a fucking stove. Sitting and coping, fueling his hatred, the cult uses his burning head for roasting coffee, while he's magically bound to just sit there and take it, marinating in sour shame, as the next batch of Turkish grain enters his cell and the whole process starts again. Later in the game you can talk to Ariman and he'll go on a rant about the South in general, saying that the Turks are one of the backwards nations, which have to be sacrificed for societal progress and bringing the world to a better place. I wonder why that is. If what you heard sounds interesting, I encourage you to try out the game. It should be around $10 on Steam, but I've seen it go for $0 in some places, so yeah, depending where you're buying from, I guess. I want to thank you and anyone watching and helping me make these videos. You're awesome, and as Paul would say, Trnice shitske piču, and I'll see you in the next one.